From where the West begins in Fort Worth, Texas, to around the globe, you are listening to Talk in the Night. I'm your host, Paranormal Phil, and later on in the show, I'm going to bring on my guest, David Ullman, as we talk about his wildly haunted house in Beverly Hills. But first, a man is charged with firing his gun at a ghost. Christian Duvall reportedly pulled out a gun and fired 2 rounds after encountering a ghostly intruder. The 25-year-old claims to be a paranormal investigator, but put 2 bullet holes in his walls of his home back in July after firing at an alleged intruder. He later changed his story to claim that what he actually fired at was a ghost. The incident mirrors a very similar series of events that occurred back in 2011 when Duvall had called the cops claiming that a ghostly intruder had suddenly appeared in his home. Police officers attending the scene, however, could find no evidence of this break-in. Duvall now faces several charges, including illegal discharge of a firearm, misuse of emergency call, second-degree reckless endangerment, and making a false statement to police. Now, of course, my guess is gonna tell you, you're not gonna fire a gun at a spirit and think you're gonna harm it, because it just ain't happening. For those listening, feel free to pop in the chat on Spreaker. I know the show's being broadcast on Spreaker, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and all around. Now, of course, David is doing something real quick, but we're going to get to him here in a second. So please welcome to the show my guest, David Ullman.
Thanks for having me on tonight, Phil. It's a pleasure. And especially to be on your show. That's a highlight of my life tonight.
Yeah, besides cooking the chicken.
Yeah, well, besides the fact that you've spent 3.5 years investigating this house.
Actually, it's been longer.
25 times, you know. It's nice to be on the radio show that you're the host of.
Yeah, well, it's actually been longer than that if you think about it, because I came there for a private investigation back in November of 2013.
Right. 5 years ago. God.
Yeah. So I've been over to your place many times. So I know all about it.
Many experiences here as well.
So tell the listeners that might not know about your house or about you a little bit about the haunting at your place.
Sure. My name is David Ullman. I've been on 6 different paranormal reality TV shows, from Ghost Hunters to My Ghost Story, Paranormal Witness, Haunted History, Ghost Adventures, and Ghost Adventures Aftershocks. My father and I bought this lot in 1998 and spent 3.5, almost 4 years building the house that I'm living in right now. And the house sits about 150, 200 feet down the private driveway from where Sharon Tate's house stood. And the house is wildly haunted. I mean...
Yeah.
And so I mean, I can defer to your experiences here. I mean, people have seen apparitions, have been physically grabbed, not hurt, but grabbed. I mean, people have been touched. We've heard voices. We've recorded those voices. We've recorded voices that we didn't hear. We have video footage of objects moving on their own. God, I don't know what we don't have here. Outside of possessions, but we do have a reputation, unfortunately, because of Zach Baggins and his experience here 4 years ago when they were shooting Ghost Adventures. He actually lasted 3 hours of a 6-hour lockdown here and ran out and never came back.
Yeah, where I've spent most of the night. Actually, I've spent overnight.
Yeah, Phil, you've been here, I'd have to say, around 200 hours at least. To Zach Bagans 3. It's kind of fun, but, you know, and you've never had a single, well, you've had incidents here that have kind of like given you pause for like, was that really happening? But nothing to scare you out of your skin and make you run out of here like you're never going to come back.
Oh, no, I'm the kind of person that runs towards the stuff that Zach ran away from.
It's true. I remember one funny incident during the an anniversary of the Sharon Tate murders when you were here and we had TMZ here.
Yeah, that was all my fault.
It's still the greatest story in the world, and the fact is that TMZ still won't tell the truth about what happened on that night. I don't know if they knew or they didn't, but it was like we were all upstairs for the most part. Everybody was upstairs in the top floor in the living room, and we were all talking about Sharon. And all of a sudden, the smoke alarms start going off, and people are panicking and freaking out and saying, let's go through the house and find out where the source of the fire is. So finally, I end up heading down to the third level, and as I open the door to the third level, I start to smell in the theater room the overpowering smell of sage burning. And I don't see anything burning. It's all dark. So I turn the light on. There's nothing there. So then I open the door going into the third floor guest bedroom, and there you are with a bundle of sage. And it's like a torch. I mean, unless you made that yourself, I don't know where you got an 18-inch long bundle of sage. So it's like, and it's on fire, and I'm going, oh my God, there it is. And the whole room is literally like, it's 11-foot high ceiling. And there's the ceiling down is about 5 feet of and I'm looking at you, and your head's in the thick of it. And I'm going, Phil, this is Dad. He goes, yeah, that's me. I'm smudging. It's like, you're doing a really good job of it. Just a little too good job of it.
I just forgot to open the window. But it was perfectly timed with the anniversary.
Oh, no, it was good. The woman at TMZ, the reporter went like, oh my God, it's Sharon Tate. Cue camera, let's get this recorded. And they went with it. And I come upstairs and I found the smoke alarm going off. He goes, Phil was smudging. He goes, just a little too much because they have the windows shut and the whole place is engulfed in smoke. Oh, was that a great story? Oh, God. It's one of the few times I've had something happen here that wasn't paranormal that I laughed my head off about. It was like...
And I still would love to have that video because if you remember correctly that night, me and Steve sped up the video and added the Benny Hill music to it.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, God. Oh, God. The investigations here these days, which are drawing to a close this year, I think I have one going on Saturday night on the 13th of October, so it's like 3 days away. That's it for 2018. And 2019, I just don't have the energy or the desire, so there might not be any in 2019. I don't know. I'm just letting people know that if you want to go, come this weekend. Otherwise, no guarantees that I'm going to open up the house to the public like I have in the past. Yeah. And part of the reason is you're not around anymore, Phil. And, you know, it was fun when I had you and Steve and Lilia. But, you know, Steve's gone, you're gone, Lilia's gone. It's just, you know, it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, Steve's closer than I am, but... yeah, I do miss coming out to your place and everything like that, and I definitely will make a trip out there in 2019. But let's go over some of the stuff that has happened there, which people can find on your YouTube channel, youtube.com/David Ullman. Like probably one of the most interesting videos I've ever seen is the earthen wall room with the butcher block. Yeah,
Mike. We had an investigation that's now 3 or 4 years ago, and a guy named Mike Fontaine came. Went on the investigation, and he goes into the earthen wall room, which is a part of the house that is underneath the main house, and it's actually really what it is a storage but there's no wall to the earth that's underneath the house. So it's totally exposed. As you go in, you can see the mound of earth that's underneath the house. And Mike went in there, and it's all on my closed-circuit television cameras, and Mike goes in to go do an EVP session. And he later on came back and described to us on tape what he was doing and what was happening. And he says, I was hearing voices, people talking in the other room, so I went to shut the door to that other room. And as I'm shutting it, in the pitch black darkness, this 10-pound, 1.75 inch by, 8 inches by about 20-inch long piece of solid picture block spins off this television set that's sitting there that it's been on literally for about a year. It hasn't moved. And it spins off the television set, falls down onto the ground, and it blocks the doorway from him getting out. And it's amazing because I've never seen anything like it before, and I don't think I've seen anything close to it since. And
I've showed people that video before and explained that his backpack never touched the thing. And had it done that, it was still went straight down, not actually lift up and spin.
Right. Exactly. If it spins off, it doesn't slide off at an angle coming down. No. The front end and the rear end spin. And it's almost physically impossible to explain what would cause a 10-pound piece of butcher block sitting on top of the television set to spin when literally it's like I said, it's about 18 inches long and about 4 inches are overhanging the edge of the television set.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
It was next to nothing. So the fact that that thing spun off, impossible. Something had to physically make contact with it. And Mike, as you see in the video, does not make any contact with the object whatsoever.
Yeah. And, of course, I went down there after he had me review the footage. I tested it just to show that it could not be done, or at least without some extreme force to push it down. And, yeah, I couldn't explain it. And, of course, in the video, it doesn't do it justice to show how much space was only right back behind that wall. But there was no space for anybody to be back there to actually do that.
No, there was nobody behind there. I alleviated that problem. I've actually installed 2 more cameras in the earthen wall room, one on the wall right above where the doorway is, facing the interior of the earthen wall room. And there's another camera that I set up that's right overhead, mounted on the ceiling or one of the beams, that it looks over this, where the sports chairs are and the platform and the wine rack. So now it's all illuminated and it's all visually able to be seen. So there's no question about who is standing where, from the people standing. Now it's all covered so that people who've seen the wine rack have the bottle of wine fly off of it on its own. Now they'll be able to see it from another angle to make sure that, if it ever happens again, can be totally explained or not explained and proven that it's not a person interfering with the bottle.
Yeah, of course, in that video, it was kind of partially blocked, but I can tell those listening to the show that no matter how hard you step on that wooden plank, that bottle is not coming out like that.
And I've checked that the bottle, there's a video of a bottle like we're talking about, just to bring your audience up to speed, that comes out of the wine rack and falls to the ground. Now, I myself went down there and pulled the wine bottle out and said, wait a second. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 bars across which the wine bottle has to travel. And if it comes off the first bar, it drops down inside the carriage. If it pulls out to the next bar, it drops down to the next. You have to pull the wine bottle out almost halfway across the wine bottle for it to have the weight to fall over and out of the rack. And that's not what happened. And by the way, in that video, you can see that the wine rack never once is in motion. It's never moving. It's never jiggling. It's always solid, sitting there. The rack's not moved at all. So again, the bottle is literally being pulled out on its own, not moving the rack. So even when he's standing on the plank that is there, that is the forerunner to getting onto the Earth platform, he's not moving the rack. So something is other than he is having an effect on the bottle being pulled out of the wine rack on its own.
Yeah. Now, let's get into another one that was never recorded, which we wish we would have had a camera on. And I see you nodding in the video. And the thing that we're talking about is the picture or poster of your movie, House at the End of the Drive, that actually came off the wall while you were doing a ghost investigation.
Right. As you recall, I think you were there. It was all on the top floor of my house where I am right now. I was in the bar talking to 4 people. I remember that Ron Iacovetti was there, was one of the people. Let's see, there were 4 people in front of the bar. I was behind the bar talking about the Sharon Tate murders. 3 feet to my left on the wall is a framed 3-foot by 3.5-foot poster of my motion picture, House at the End of the Drive, signed by all the actors in the movie. And I was talking to the people in front of me about the murders and whatnot. And all of a sudden, I heard a voice say, "It's coming." And I turned to my left and I looked. And as I turned to my left and looked, the glass frame picture or piece literally is starting to peel away from the wall slowly, as if in slow motion. And it starts to come down the wall as it's falling. And I turned to my left, and I didn't leap, but I moved quickly enough to grab it about 1.5 inches from hitting the ground and exploding in glass. And I remember looking straight forward and saying, "I just saved you guys' life." Because I remember there were 3 people on the outside of the bar that were sitting there talking. And I said, if that hits the ground, that pane of glass is going to pop and shatter as it pops outward. Because behind it is the wall, so it can't go that way. It can only go forward towards them. And I looked at one of the girls was in like a miniskirt thing. It's like I could just see her legs all shredded up had I not taken it in swift action to stop that from hitting the ground. And you were like, "Oh my God!" And I remember somebody said to us, "Oh, the cameras were off. We had the standard depth cameras, and the angle was off, so it didn't capture it." But I remember we interviewed people there that I witnessed it right after it happened to get their take on it. Everybody said the same thing. It was like it was being pulled off the wall and slowly going down towards the ground. It wasn't fast running. And what's interesting is 3 weeks ago, 20 hours after the Quentin Tarantino motion picture Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wrapped up, in the second floor hallway, the hallway going out to the side staircase, at 3 in the morning or 2:45 in the morning, a large framed piece did almost the exact same thing. It peeled off the wall and fell down. Now, luckily, it had a plexiglass. It had plexiglass instead of glass. Yeah. It was also about 20 inches by about 26 inches tall. It was a good size, and it came crashing down. And what's interesting is when I came in the following morning and found it, the nails in the wall, just like what happened here with the other poster, were still in the wall.
Yeah.
Secured tightly. What happened was somehow, and I don't know how this is possible, the frame was torn apart. So that where the frame and the brackets that mounted into the wall, there were 2 of them luckily, not just one, it literally ripped the frame apart. I've never seen anything like that. And it would have taken had to taken some type of a force to do that, because figure that because I did not have glass in there, because of the excuse that if there's an earthquake and that falls off, it's going to shatter, not only break, it'll be a mess to clean up, it'll destroy the piece of art behind the glass. So it's extra lightweight, the fact that it doesn't weigh more than, it weighs 10% of the weight of the glass because plexiglass is so much less weight. It didn't make any sense. It's not like it was extra weight and was being pulled and pulled. It has been there for 3 years. It's not an old frame. It's a pretty recent frame. So I don't know how it was ripped apart and for what caused it, because it wasn't the weight of the glass pulling it off the wall, because it was negligible, the weight of it.
Yeah, it just pretty much, the spirits used a lot of force just to pull it off. Now,
exactly.
Now, was
and they couldn't pull it around the wall, so instead they pulled the frame itself apart, and it's a wood frame. It's crazy. It's just, and it's on video. It's one of my first YouTube videos on my channel. It's astounding. When you watch it, you listen to the sound. And what's interesting is after it fell, you see an orb fly off the side of the wall and out over where it was.
Yeah. I guess the spirit just did not want that picture hanging there.
Well, it certainly made a statement by it. I think it had to do with the fact that they were shooting here for that movie, and it was pretty intense. I mean, they had the same exact make and model vehicle that Tex Watson drove and parked it on the same spot where he parked it 49 years ago when they committed the murders at the bottom of the driveway. And I could not, for the life of me, when I was there and when I was standing there looking at it, take my eyes off of that car, and kept hearing the spirit saying, you know, it's been 49 years almost to the day since that vehicle has been on this driveway, let alone on the same exact spot where it was the day we were killed. It was uncanny. It was just like,
Yeah, they just were not happy about that.
No. But all in all, I have to say that I first went into the idea about the movie as presenting it because I thought it was retelling the story of the murders, where in fact, I had come to find out that the movie is really about Sharon Tate's story of her life, not her life in Hollywood. From the time she entered Hollywood to the time she died. That's the whole story that he's making the movie about. It's very, very, very small part of it has to do with Sharon's, final scene, so to speak.
Yeah.
Her death and her murder. It really, and I'm really happy to hear that because I feel that's an honorable, well, hopefully it's an honorable representation of Sharon.
Yeah, which a lot of people know of her just because of the murders and not because of the rest of her life. Right.
It's true. Her death has overshadowed and overpowered her living legacy and her memory. It's now all tied up, and hopefully this movie will kind of expunge some of that and remove that stigma.
Yeah. Now, sure, I lost track of what I was thinking there for a second, but tell the people about what Dr. Barry Taff basically named your house and why he described it as such.
Well, Barry Taff is a paranormal investigator who has now, I think, he's been doing in the field for about 49 years. He's a paranormal investigator, parapsychologist. What Barry said about the house was, and I can read you some of the things that he wrote down on his reports. He said he called the house the Mount Everest of haunted houses and the Disneyland for the dead. He's got some of his notes on his reports to the ambient DC to low frequency magnetic field throughout the entire house ranges from 4 milligauss to 100 milligauss, where normal is under 2 milligauss. Compass, analog or digital, behave oddly in that they point anywhere other than north. At the front door, the needle points south to southeast rather than north. At the rear stairwell, same odd bearings occur as they do in several bedrooms, bathrooms, and the earthen wall room, where the compass spins like a top in one corner. The geomagnetometer reads up to 1,700 milligauss. Normal is anywhere between 300 and 500 milligauss positive. At the rear stairwell, while at the front door, it drops to 0, then abruptly reverses polarity several hundred points. During the approach of an electrical storm, the geomagnetometer reached the upper end, its range of 2 Gauss, and then overranged. The electromagnetometer read a full 5 Gauss. Again, normal is between 3 and 500 milligauss. 5 Gauss being 5,000 milligauss. At the same time, DC to low frequency electric fields in the house range to well over 2 kilovolts per meter, where normal is well below 20 to 30 volts per meter. When positive ions from Sandana winds crossed the house's boundary, they turned into negative ions. Those are some of the scientific points that Jerry wrote down some 13 years ago during his one-year investigation here at the house. So no matter what he says now on television and to the paying audience, so to speak, those including Zach Back, it can all be totally dismissed from the fact that I got the original reports for when he was here before he turned tail and decided to change his story. So that's just my only thing I can say.
Yeah, well, there have been times when we've seen like 6 to 8,000 milligauss in some spots, especially outside in one spot, right by the stairwell. Of course, the stairs, we've seen the over 2,000 milligauss. So, I mean, it is highly active for the geomagnetic field in the area. And it's not just your home, it's the whole canyon, correct?
Yeah. Well, the reason why it's the house specifically is because there's lots of iron built into the superstructure as far as the structural engineer. He incorporated six steel columns supporting 4 steel I-beams that support the second and third floors. And we have a 30-foot wrought iron staircase that also lends to the amplification of the DC electromagnetic field. Yeah. So basically concentrates and amplifies it being inside the house with the dynamic of the 2 floors being supported by steel.
Yeah. Now, what? Let's get into the ghost shows and stuff like that real quick. We'll talk about that after the break, but I want to talk about Ghost Adventures the first time they were there. What scared Zach so bad that he ran out?
Well, we'll talk about that after the break, I guess, because I really have to go into thinking about that. Because I honestly only know what everybody knows from the show. And, well, I take that back. Like I said, I need a few seconds to think about the specifics of what exactly it was that tormented him and drove him out of his head so that he would never return to the house here.
Yeah. All right. So for those listening, we'll be right back after the short commercial break. You are listening to Talking the Night.
All alone, I hear noises, but no one's home, so I walk out of my bedroom, looking around. Don't know what to find. I'm freaking out. Can't sleep anymore. Gotta watch out. I hear knocks at the door. Maybe it's paranormal activity, or am I just going crazy? I need a doctor to help me.
Are you a ghost hunter or paranormal enthusiast and need equipment to go out and investigate locations that have spirit activity? Well, GhostStop.com has all the equipment that you will need. They have a Boo Buddy ghost hunting kit for $169.95 Or how about a Keep Calm and Ghost Hunt t-shirt for $19.95? Click on the banner ad at the top of the Talking Tonight website and get shopping today. GhostStop.com, your one-stop shop for all your ghost hunting needs.
Uncle Phil to the radio.
Do you have a paranormal team? Are you a small-time author? Do you have a radio show that you would like to promote? Is there anything that you would like to get the word out there about but don't have a big budget? Well, Talking Tonight has an opportunity for you to sponsor the show without breaking your wallet. Contact the show at talkingtonight@outlook.com or on the show's website or Facebook page for more details. Do you think you have a haunted or ghost object when Nicole Gaspard does?
one of my phone lines
Haunted
to
vessels and cursed objects. She talks about her continued paranormal and supernatural ghost encounters, haunted dolls, and other items that are supposed to be haunted or cursed. Pick up your copy today on Amazon.com.
All right, it works. Yeah, I got it done. All right, let me just go turn down the grill. All right, be right back.
The lights go stronger, the fight moves under, I'm breaking under fire. No one will hold you. Every time I look into your eyes, I see this angel deep inside. You've gone away, so far away from me. A special engagement, she lights up the pavement, she pays her till to the
Okay, and we are back with my guest, David Ullman, as we talk about his wildly haunted home in Beverly Hills and the ghost investigation. So before the break, we were talking about Zak Bagans and what caused him to run out of there. Now, of course, Zak would send Aaron in to do his dirty work because he didn't want to face the stuff that he pretty much conjured.
Pretty much. Well, what happened is what you don't see on the episode is a lot of stuff, as a matter of fact. What I'm trying to figure out how to say it nicely, so to speak, of what took place. Well, before Nick was sent down to the third level, as you remember in the episode, for those of you who've seen the episode, they sent Nick back down to see what's going on there. And basically, what happened in between that and Nick going down there, before Nick went down there, was sent, Zak walked out of the house, and it's not on camera, and he took 3 steps onto the driveway and fell down. And I ran up to him because I was outside the car. I said, "Zak, are you okay? Are you okay?" And he was like, was mumbling and just like
eyes glazed over and stuff like that.
His eyes were glazed. His eyes were doing loops. I said, "Are you okay?" He goes, "I don't know. Oh my God, I'm just feeling, he was dazed and confused in the worst fashion. And then the producers came up and said, "Zak, you okay?" And no cameras on him, of course, because it's in a compromising situation.
Yeah.
But then they sent Nick down. And when they sent Nick down, what's not on camera is the fact that Zak and Aaron and Jay Wasley were in the back of the van watching Nick have his meltdown and his incident, and they're laughing. They're cracking up in the back seat of the car, like, poor Nick's down there screaming, saying, "Get the F down here and save me, you sons of, get down here." It's a real problem. I'm having trouble. I don't know what to do here. And I'm looking at the 3 of them in the back seat, and I'm outside the car. They're shooting the camera in front of me, and I said, put the camera down. I said, if you, Zak, don't go down there and save his ass, I said, I don't give a rat's ass about the contract. I'm going down there, and I don't care about your show. I'm not letting somebody get whether it's happening to him or it's happening in his mind, that's none of my concern. My concern is there's somebody in my house that's having a problem. And I'm not going to sit there idly by and watch him go through his meltdown. And when he's screaming, help, 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 let him sit there stranded on an island, so to speak, and do not a GD thing. Yeah. So finally, they said, all right, we'll go down there, let's get him out of there. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. I said, that's what you do? You left your supposed friend and partner struggle and deal with, stuff that he can't deal with, obviously.
Yeah.
I just was really irritated. So I think what happened was when he finally went down there, he saw what happened to Nick and the scratch on his tummy and the fact that he had the meltdown upstairs when he walked out and he couldn't deal with it. I think that those are 2 points that, that really affected him and wore on him, and that the fact that he had never been in a house or a location like mine that's got such high EMF levels that it's kind of like, as Lisa Williams said and Marianne Winkowski, your house is like a gigantic ghost flop house. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, spirits come in and visit and hang out and charge their batteries and then go on their way. And I don't think that Zach's ever been in a place that's really not typically haunted in the sense that somebody died there and their spirit's still lingering and roaming around. He went to a place in my house that's basically a haunted hotel, for lack of a better word. And because of that, because the environment's so highly elevated the DC EMF levels, that the spirits that he's got, so to speak, hanging around him, some good, some not so good, and I don't mean demons, I mean people that are just don't like him. I think that those spirits around him basically got to this environment and said, hey, guess what? This is a day at the beach. We don't have to worry about our energy. We have a ready supply of energy right here in this house, and we can do what we want, cause mischief, mayhem, and pay back upon he who we do not like, who we've been hanging around too many years around and hating. We're now going to get back at him, and this is our opportunity to take it out on him. That's what I think happened, and that's why I think he hasn't come back, because he's afraid he comes back, he's going to get his butt shined by the spirits.
Well, also another thing, and I've experienced it down in that third level guest bedroom, is where, I mean, of course, I didn't run out of there or feel sick about it, but there was that feeling of like you're underwater, that heaviness, the blurriness and stuff like that. I just took it and rolled with it, but I'm wondering if that's something that Nick and Zach experienced down in there.
I don't remember if they mentioned. I think I told them that when they go down there, they might feel pressure behind their sinuses, that they might feel a little altitude sickness, for lack of a better word, where you feel like your sinuses are getting all impacted because you've gone up 3 or 4 altitudes and nobody's forgotten to pressurize the cabin, that kind of stuff. So from my standpoint, that's typical of the house. Whether they experienced it, I can't say because I don't remember that specific question and relating to them.
Yeah. Now, there have been other things that have happened in that room. Of course, this is well before my time coming there, but the whole incident where the person was levitated off of the bed, and then of course I'm gonna bring up another thing here.
Cool. We was in the third level guest bedroom, and during the filming, well, after we were done filming the movie, he was staying in that room for 2 weeks. And on the last night he was staying here, about midnight or so, we were doing a seance. And he was a skeptic, and I say use the word was, a skeptic. What happened was he went to bed at 2 a.m, And apparently somewhere between 2 in the morning and 2:30, he says, and related to us 6 months later, that he heard an unseen voice and a presence say, "You're coming with us." And he says, "I felt my body being lifted up off the bed towards the corner of the ceiling." And again, that's the 11-foot high ceilings in the third level guest bedroom, and pulling it up towards the corner of the ceiling. And he says, "I felt my body going up, up, up." And I started saying, "No, put me down, put me down." And he said, "I find myself sitting bolt upright in bed on the opposite side of the bed that I was lying down on, fully reclined. So I was not sitting up. I was lying down with my head on the pillow to find myself on the other side of the bed sitting bolt upright in bed."
Yeah. And, yeah, that, like I said, that happened well before I even ever met you. But there have been other experiences in that guest bedroom. And I'm going to, if you want to check on your chicken real quick, I'm going to talk about this real quick. This is an interesting thing that I've experienced. I was there for it. I was the one that was monitoring the cameras for it that night. But it was, this one lady was down there. Of course, lights are completely out. In the video, the only reason why it's light in there is because of the infrared cameras. Well, they're in there doing their thing for the ghost investigation, and this lady starts to walk out of the room and then slowly backs up and kind of sidesteps to the, I want to say the right. Yeah, the right. And there's a full-length closet mirror on each side of that doorway, leading from the bedroom out into the theater room. Well, she sidestepped, kind of stepped towards the mirror, looked at it, sidestepped again, started to walk out again, and then slowly backed up, sidestepped to the left, where I've felt things through that, in that area of the bedroom. And, of course, the corner of the bed that David was talking about is not that far from that mirror. But this lady sidestepped to the left and kind of leaned right into the mirror and started screaming uncontrollably. And, of course, David was down there.
So it's 5 feet away from her. And it's on video. It's on I'm on my YouTube channel, one of the videos. And I'm like, what the hell? What the hell's going on? So, you okay? Are you okay? And she's shrilling, going, "Ah! Ah!" And I'm like, "You okay? Are you okay?" And she goes, I don't know. I don't know. I said, "Well, what happened?" After she calmed down, I said, "What happened?" She goes, "There was a man, and he was yelling in my ear." I said, "Yeah?" I said, "So what did you do?" She goes, "I started yelling back." And I'm like,
I never heard that part of the story.
Yeah, she said that. And I said, "Are you okay? Do you want to leave? Do you want a refund?" She goes, "No, my 2 dogs are here, and I'm not leaving anything." I said, after that experience, most people I would have figured said, "I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm over it. I'll take my money and leave." But she stayed the rest of the night for another 3.5 hours and had no more problems.
Yeah, but the weird part was her actually walking out and then slowly backing up. Not just turn around and walking right there. It was like she was being pulled or led there.
Yeah, she walked into the corridor leading out into the theater room. And if you recall on the video, you can hear Tim Rose talking to Kaya Spital, and Tim is saying, there's I feel some dark energy in that around the doorway going out into the theater room. And what's funny is as he's saying that, you see the woman walk into the corridor, and then she takes 2 steps back, and she takes a step to the right and avoids the corridor. Then she goes back in there as if she's going to walk into the theater room, and she stops again at the threshold and walks back 2 steps and then takes a step to the left. And then it's like, you see it in the video, it's dark. She's pushed up against the gosh darn mirror, and she starts howling. Oh, God. Yeah, I remember that incident. Yeah, that was one hell of an incident. I mean, I was right there and witnessed it, and I'm like, what? I was shocked, so.
Yeah, well, there's been so many incidents in your home, which can be found on your YouTube channel. If I can talk, your YouTube channel. But there are other things that are not on there, that like that picture frame that we talked about earlier. But there are things on there are not on there that have happened. I'm going to bring back this memory when we first met the very first time. And
all right.
I don't know if you'll remember it because it's 5 years ago, but I remember it. Me and Steve Hembry were actually driving to David's house for the very first time. And, of course, I didn't want to know nothing of the location other than the murders happened down at the end of the drive. Nothing.
That wasn't enough, really?
And
nothing.
That was all I wanted to know. Because I'm highly psychic, highly intuitive, and everything like that. So, and David can attest to this. But we're driving along. We're in Pomona, which is about 40 miles away from David's house. I'm looking at the map on my phone just so we don't get lost. And something told me, zoom in on where David's house is. And I zoomed in right there, and I'm trying to show Steve as he's doing all the driving 80 miles per hour down the freeway, 40 miles away. I'm like, right there, there's a portal, right there. And the same spot that I pointed out, we get there, I pointed out to Steve and said, this is where I saw on the map. And I explained it to Steve, and he said, you got to tell David this. So David comes out. I explained what I had saw on the map, vortex, a portal to the spirit world, where you feel that heaviness like in the third level, that blurriness, the feeling like underwater. The same exact spot that I pointed out was, I'll let David handle the rest of this.
As I recall it, if I'm not mistaken, it was right here at the house. It was right at this location. I'm going, where the hell did that come up with? I was like shocked because I remember going, no way. It's marked on a map. It's a portal. And I was just like blown away. And I remember we were walking down next to the lot next door because it was not developed. It was just a lot. And you were going, I feel energy here. I feel lots of energy. It's heavy. It's heavy right here. You were like picking up every single spot of energy that was around here, the heaviness. That was the craziest first night when you guys came up here. The first time you were up here. That was just amazing.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, I was trying to get you to talk about the 5-gallon bucket of water that tipped uphill in the spot that I pointed out.
Oh, all right. They were at the time we're talking about. There was the construction was happening on the property next door. They were putting up the wall to the house next door that was being built. And earlier in a couple of days earlier, the 15 guys that were working on the construction on the house next door, on the property next door, told me, after I told them about the house and the paranormal activity that goes on here, that they were literally across the street from the house, probably about 40 feet from my front door, and they were on the side of the hill eating lunch, and they had a 5-gallon igloo water dispenser there. And it was on the slope of the driveway going down. And what they said to me was, you won't believe what happened. So what happened goes, the bucket of water tilted up the hill and spilled over. I said, when? They showed me the spot, and it's literally a slope. It's a slight grade, but it's definitely a grade where it's going down the hill. And they said that they showed me the bucket, the igloo bucket, and they said it fell up the street and knocked over. And they were all sitting 10 feet away from it on the side of the hill eating their lunches.
Yeah.
And that's where you said the portal was, right smack in the dab in the middle of the street.
Yeah, and like I said, I knew nothing. Steve, even if you talk to Steve, if anybody talks to Steve, he can attest to this. I knew nothing of the location. I did not want to know. And, I surprised myself that I was able to actually remote view that distance away. But it did happen.
Oh, yeah, it definitely happened. I remembered it. It was like, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. Oh, God, do I remember that night. That was a great, crazy night.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was that same night or if it was a following one that we did. Of course, this was before the ghost investigations that you have been put on. Where I was down on the second level in the laundry room, and Alma Carey was standing just off the step, and I was standing on the landing of the laundry room, and I saw this spirit pacing back and forth, kind of leaning into me and go. It was almost like he was saying, "You can see me," and then pace back and then back and forth. And
Jack. That was Jack. That was Jack. That was Jack. That was Jack.
Yeah, I know it was Jack now, but
you didn't know it was then because it was. I remember you said to me this friend that it felt like a very, very large presence. And somebody else had said to me, "There's a black mass." And I said, "There's a large black mass there." And I said, "Black mass or black man?" And I said, "I think you're getting it mixed up with Jack Johnson." He goes, "Well, he's very, very big and he's black." And I said, "That's Jack Johnson, the heavyweight champion of the world. That's what I was saying." And he has made his appearance here several times through the years, since I am a very, very big fan of his and admirer of his. It was amazing because other people that had never been here before had said the same thing, that they felt this big black man of a presence there. And I said, "Yeah, it's Jack." And it's amazing. To me, it's like, wow, I feel very, very honored and privileged to have him in spirit visit and come by and say hello. Honestly.
Yeah, especially with all the memorabilia that you have.
True. Very true.
But we won't go into that. But yeah, no, of course, what I'm talking about is Alma was standing right there and she knew nothing of what I was seeing, but I didn't say nothing to her, I should say, but she knew what I was seeing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. Alma was like, Alma says, "There's a big black gentleman down there in the second floor in the laundry room." I said, "Big black gentleman?" I said, Alma. I said, "Didn't you go into my office and see the pictures I've got on the wall?" I said, "It's the same guy." She goes, "No, I didn't." And then I took her into the room and she goes, "Oh my, that's who I'm seeing." And then it was you that said, "I'm seeing it." And I said, "You're both saying the same thing. You're just not communicating with one another." But you both hit it on the nail on the head. So yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's so many incidents or things, because mostly what people know your house from Ghost Adventures is the Beetlejuice figurines. And, of course, it's not just one Beetlejuice figurine that has fallen. There are 3 on top of the thing, and there's other figurines up there as well. And David walked off camera, so I'm wondering if the spirits knocked off Beetlejuice.
I think the smoking man while we were on the air, apparently.
But yeah, no, there's Beetlejuice out there. There's 3 of them up there.
Yeah, there's Beetlejuice, 3 Beetlejuice characters with the thorns. There's the smoking man. There's the shrunken head man. There's the Gina Davis character with her face pulled out. I mean, with her jaw open. and her mouth's big, and then there's the Alec Baldwin character with the nose pulled out. And they've all been knocked over at least once.
Yeah. Well, there's been times that all three Beetlejuice have fallen over at the same time. I remember one incident where I believe it was the middle Beetlejuice, if I'm not mistaken, actually fell, hit the top of the tank, and actually was slung off of it onto the floor.
Yeah, on that occasion, it was 3 years ago on the 45th anniversary. I think it was the 45th anniversary of the murders 4 years ago. It was 12:20 in the evening. I had just had a big event here honoring Sharon's anniversary, and it was myself and Joey Moss, the artist, who had painted the large portrait of Sharon Tate that hangs on my wall, and the big Beetlejuice, the middle one, literally flew off the aquarium and landed about a foot away from him, and it flew about 8 feet in the air. And I was to the left of him, so he was facing the aquarium, looking dead on, straight on at it, and I was to his left, looking at him, and I turned my head just ever so slightly as it was flying across the freaking air, and I looked at him, and he goes, "It just flew at me." And I said, "Are you okay?" He goes, "It just flew at me." And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "I saw it just as it took off out of the corner of my eye, and I turned and I looked, and I caught it mid-flight right in front of me as it's flying across, and it lands and the head chops off and rolls right past his feet." And I'm like, "I don't believe it. What time is it? What time is it?" I look like clocking, watching, it says 12:20. I said, "I think that's the moment that Sharon died. Actually, her life left her body." And it was just uncanny. And I was like, "I've never seen that happen. I've never seen that happen. I've never seen that happen." And it's still one of the most intense moments, unfortunately not videotaped, in this house with the activity.
Yeah. Now, there is something on videotape that was a hilarious point of the Beetlejuice figurines falling over.
Oh.
Where the kid, he's standing there wanting to see those fall over, and as soon as one falls over, he jolts back and like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. There's also a great video with the Beetlejuice where Steve's down there, and the Beetlejuice falls. No, there's a strand of puka shells on there, from 44-year-old puka shells that my sister brought back from her first trip to Hawaii, and the puka shell strand literally in the middle gets drawn out by an unseen force, and then the Beetlejuice figurine knocks itself over. It's uncanny. It's one of the wildest videos, and you can hear Steve Hembry in the background saying, "Come on, you did it for other people." And he goes, "Don't stop now." And then it's like unreal. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take another commercial break real quick, but we'll be right back with the second half of the show. And if you got any phone calls, feel free to call in or pop in the chat on Spreaker.com for Talking the Night, and I'm in there. I'm paying attention to the chat. We'll be right back.
Do you have a talk radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube show and would like guests for your show but don't know where to go to get them? Well, go to RadioGuestList.com and sign up today. They have all different experts in different fields, and you can find the ones that are just right for your show. That's RadioGuestList.com. Sign up today. It's free.
If you like finding out about different things in the paranormal field, such as ghost stories, haunted locations, UFOs, cryptozoology, and much more, well, check out Into the Paranormal on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Videos are posted once a week. Be sure to check out the show's website at talkingthenight.weebly.com for some great content such as Story of the Day, This Day in History, and much more. Also, if you missed the show, check out the show's archive page under the Radio Show tab where you can find all the shows listed. And be sure to sign up for the Talk in the Night newsletter. To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night, or by phone at 817-717-5561. And now, back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. Okay, and we are back with the second half of the show. David's handling something real quick, so if you got any questions that you want to ask David, feel free to pop in the chat on Spreaker. Also, the phone lines are open. Skype Talk in the Night, or by phone at 817-717-5561. Once again, the phone lines are open. We're going to talk to David about all right. I got a couple of questions for David here by the listeners. Nicole Gaspard, who has been to your house before, she said, has your place been more active since the starting like the seances?
No, everything's still the same. It's just nothing has really changed. I mean, people have asked me if things have amped up since Charles Manson died. No. I don't know what to say to those people, but no, there's no expectations that I have that just because somebody like that passes away that he's going to pop in and make an appearance.
Yeah. Now, next question is, another person asked, what is the most active place in your house?
Honestly, I can't honestly say that there is a more active spot than any other spot in the house. I mean, Phil, you've been here yourself, and you know that different times of the day or different times with different people here, the top floor can be very active. I mean, if you look at the cross-section of the videos that I have, there's a video of Steve where I am right now at the dining room table walking around during an investigation, getting some food off the table, and he hears a spirit said, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, "David?" And he's just looking around for me. And I'm like 3 minutes down the stairs already since I left the room. And he's like, "Look, David." And then you go to the second floor where we have the hallway itself is active, where people have been pushed and reported being, felt like somebody was grabbing them or somebody was knocking their knees and letting them drop to the ground. Then you've got the laundry room where Chris Fleming has had his experiences during the EVP sessions with his spirit time to FO and die and leave the house. And a woman who overheard the recorded conversation said, "Oh, my God, it's a demon." I said, "If you heard me say that to Chris, would you call me a demon?" She goes, "No, I call you a bastard." I said, "Well, the difference is you're eavesdropping a conversation between a spirit And Chris, it's no different than a conversation between me and Chris, except you don't see the other person speaking to Chris. So you've now, cast him asunder as being a demon. And she goes, oh, I never thought of it like that. And I said, yeah, but that's how you got to start thinking about it. Don't start disparaging spirits because they're being insulting. They might have a good reason, and you might not be a party to understanding what that reason is. But it's still a good reason, and it's a valid reason, and it's between that individual and that spirit, not for you to cast spurious comments saying, oh, it's a demon because it told you this. What are you going to say? It's an angel? What are you going to say? It's an angel that gave you compliments? That's foolhardy.
Yeah, well, there's also another video on your channel where there's an EVP, and I tried to extract them, but it was taking too long, so I said, forget it. We'll just mention the videos, let people check them out for themselves. But you were in your office, and you were playing this EVP, and it said, effing prick.
Bricks. No, bricks, plural. That's the thing I remember. That was last September. I was in my office. It was like 2 hours before you guys are coming over to do an investigation. And I'm in there doing karaoke to loosen up. And I'm listening, trying to find the track that I just sang on the audio and on the video on the closed-circuit cameras. And I remember reviewing it. As I'm reviewing it, I'm like, to the very beginning, I said, oh, God, I got to start it again. And you hear the spirit say, effing pricks. And he doesn't say effing. He says F-U-C, you-know-what, I-N-G. Pricks, plural. And it's on my YouTube channel, as you said. And I listened to it, and I said, okay, you didn't say effing pricks, singular. You meant and said effing pricks, plural. And I said, so, who in the hell are the effing pricks? Because I'm alone, and no one else is in the house. So who you chastising and casting such spurious comments about? Yeah, in the office we've had, so as we were saying about what your question was, so the second floor has the office, the hallways, the earth, the cinder block walls area, that landing, the laundry room, the master bedroom. Then you go to the third floor where we've had tons of activity occur there that's been recorded in the guest bedroom, in the theater room, in the earthen wall room. So to be honest with you, there is no one particular part of the house that's more active than the others. It's just the type of activity that's so far been recorded in all parts of the house. They all rival one another for sensationalism and for activity and curiosity. And the interesting thing is I'd have to say the earthen wall room, I wouldn't say gets a bad rap, but because it doesn't look like what most people have in their homes, such that you have earth and amount of hillside underneath the house exposed, and you can go in and actually see it. I think that room takes the heat for probably being the most, has the most notoriety as being the most haunted, active part of the house. Only because you can't walk into an earthen wall room in anyone's home. They don't have it. So people identify that with this house, and a lot of things have happened down there that are very unique and interesting and visually entertaining. So I think that would probably be what the questioner is looking for as far as sensationalistic type of a part of the house. It'd have to be the earthen wall room.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to say that third level bedroom, but the earthen wall room is just right on the other side. But as you said, the whole house is active. It's just a matter of what time the day or what day in particular that the spirits decide to, okay, I'm going to be on the first level and mess with people here, and another day I'll be on the third level. It's just a matter of when they feel like they want to communicate.
Exactly. It's there. It's hit and miss. You can't, people said, I've had times when people have gone to the third level and saying it's absolutely dormant. It's dead. I said, dead good or dead bad? They said, dead bad. There's no activity. I said, we have activity on the second floor, and we can hear it from the first floor. So it's kind of hit and miss. It's almost like whack-a-mole. You want to see it come out of this hole or on this floor, and it's like, no, we're going to screw you, and we're going to be on this floor instead. So that's kind of what happens with the activity. It's kind of, it's got an intelligence to its own self that it uses, and it's hard to kind of figure out what and where it's going to perform or react or activate next.
Yeah. Now, the next question, and I can tell you, I've never seen this happen at your place, but the listener asked this question. Has anyone been possessed there? Maybe Zach Baggins, but...
Zach was here before he went on his possession binge. It's almost to the point where I can't wait till they repossess him. But I'm bummed. No, I don't put any credence in the idea of possession. I think it's unfortunate, so I just have no interest in hearing about it. I don't believe in it. I don't buy into the idea of an exorcist. I can only say this: what if you're Jewish and you're possessed? You're going to go to a gosh darn priest who's going to say, "Do you accept Jesus as the Savior, as your Lord and Savior?" You're going to say, "How can I? I'm the chosen person." Well, unfortunately, I can't help but then, see ya. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I don't buy the idea of haunted objects. I think that an object that was, some intrinsic value to a person when they were alive, now and they have died, that those objects, and people are going to hate me saying this, instead of dropping $70 to go spend 2 hours at Dak Baggins Haunted Museum, go to your local neighborhood antique store. That's right, folks. For free, you can actually handle and touch dead people's objects. You want to know why I say that? Because in an antique store, you have objects that are at least over 100 years old. I can guarantee you that most likely the person that owned that object is now deceased, and their object and their property is now in your possession at that moment when you are at that antique store. So if
I lost the audio there for a second.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
There we go.
Flea market. Sorry about that. Flea market or, antique store or whatever. That's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. And it kind of, to be having a bunch of items like Jack Kevorkian's van, it's like, so what? People died in there. So what? You're exploiting Jack Kevorkian's van and saying it's haunted? These people left the earth on their own volition. Why is it going to be haunted, man? I just... so that's my thoughts about the whole haunted items and stuff. I don't put a lot of faith in it on myself.
Yeah, like Gwendolyn, the little girl spirit down on the third level in the piano. She finds comfort in playing that because it probably was something that she had as a kid.
Well, I think that's a trigger object because it's a little girl's toy, and I don't think that look, when you die as a child, I think you are a spirit as a child. And if your spirit's still a child, why would you not want to play with toys if you have them at your disposal? I don't think there's anything unique about that. I think that Gwendolyn is just another spirit that's meandered into the house and hangs out here and visits. But she's not, unlike a lot of the spirits that come to the house and visit. They come here to hang out and go. I mean, Gwendolyn's a lovely little spirit, and I mean that in the most endearing way. She is not threatening. She is not scary. We've actually recorded her several times on EVP. She's giggled. She's actually chimed in during one interview where, famously enough, James Oster said, "I've been to David's house many times, and strange things have happened here." And right on cue, almost, there's a little girl's voice that said, "Here's one." And there's nobody here that's a girl at the time of the interview. There's 4 of us or 5 of us here. All of us are males over the age of 30 years old. And yet there's this little girl's voice chiming in and just ad-libbing to his comments like, "I've been here many times and strange things have happened." And then she goes, "Here's one." And here's one? Your voice being captured, Gwendolyn, was the point of here's one. And there's the scariest moment. I'm like, holy criminy snake. It was amazing.
Yeah, well, she's also been heard singing, too. And Steve has heard her sing. I've heard her sing. But, of course, with me, she kind of grew an attachment to me every time I was there. She always wanted me to come down there to the third level.
No, you're good company, Phil. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next,
Phil, just keep going.
yeah. So the next question is, what is the best advice best advice you can give to a person wanting to do an investigation? And
nothing. Sorry. I thought we had a spirit. It was a cat and knocked something over.
Okay. I heard it. I thought it was Beetlejuice falling over.
No, apparently one of the cats knocked something off the bar's countertop. Your question was, what's my best advice?
For somebody that wants to do a investigation like at your house.
Well, come this Saturday night if you like, because this is the last investigation I've got for the next at least 6 months. Advice. Respect the spirits. Do not take any advice from the likes of Zach Baggins or anybody else that I've ever seen on television. For the most part, they're pushing for lack of better words, a product. And their product is based on fear and on drama. I've lived here for 16 years. And I don't know what to say to this, but I've never experienced half the crap that I see on television, ever.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people...
Zach or whatever. I've just never seen any of that. And I've seen tons of stuff. And I've yet to have a spirit, assault me and try to hurt me, which is never the case. And I think that if you're enough of an asshole, you can piss off an angel. For lack of better words, if you're that kind of a person that can piss off a ghost, then you've got a certain kind of an assholishness that just can't be beat, and you're getting hit over the head by a spirit. The question is what are you doing to cause this problem? And for those who say, I'm not doing anything, I don't buy that. There's always cause and effect. Things don't happen because randomness. Ghosts don't try to harm people. Ghosts aren't here to hurt people. If a ghost is coming to talk to you, it's talking to you for a reason. It's not there to hurt you. It's trying to give you advice or to warn you or comfort you, but it is certainly not there to harm you. Because to put this to rest, if a ghost wanted to harm somebody, the first person the ghost would want to harm is most likely the person that put them in the grave. They are in the position they are in now, in the grave. So if you're going to tell me that some ghost is finding you and trying to harm you, you've either got the world's biggest ego or the world's most delusional set of thinking, because what did you do to cause this situation? Did you harm somebody? Because the fact is we know that Sharon Tate was killed 49 years ago, and the Charles Manson and company, the family, whatever, were sitting in jail for 47 and a half years. 23 hours a day locked up, et cetera, 1 hour a day, outside of their cell. You're going to tell me that in the course of those 47 and a half some odd years, that the spirits wouldn't want to take revenge upon them who put them in the grave?
Yeah.
And have an opportunity when they're sitting there in their jail cell?
Yeah, well, they can't go nowhere.
Yeah, you got a spirit. Spirit's got you right where you want. It's like, what do you mean? It's like a boxer got the other boxer in the corner. He ain't going anywhere. He's there for taking shots to the head, the body, and all the blows that the other boxer, the aggressor, wants to put on him. So how is it that these people never once remarked about the torment of the spirits of those who they killed, bothering them and pestering them at all?
Yeah, very true.
I just don't find the potential possibility of a spirit trying to hurt somebody. That's the cat, by the way. As much as somebody misunderstanding what's going on and perceiving it in a way that they believe that victimization takes over, and they're like, I'm a victim. There's a ghost trying to hurt me. Meantime, all the ghost is doing is manifesting right in front of them and trying to say, hi, I haven't seen you in about 25 years. It's Grandpa. And the person's having a meltdown, doesn't even want to think for a second that possibly maybe that spirit's a relative or a friend that's deceased that's coming there to say hello, just to be, conscientious of their existence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you. Respect is number one in any investigation. Respect the dead. because you would want the same thing once you cross over. So respect them, and you're going to get the same thing out of it. Like anything like the Ouija board and stuff like that, I always mention that it's the intent put into it. And same thing with communicate with the spirits. Respect the intent put into it. If you put that bad intent into it, that's what you're going to get.
Exactly. It's cause and effect. It's nothing happens randomly. Everything happens, and there's a reason why it happens. And just because you're pig-headed and don't want to admit X, Y, Z is why this is happening, I understand human beings hate to tell the truth a lot. And that's something that people don't like too much, saying, all right, it's my fault, I asked for this to happen. And what's funny is, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking of some certain scary ghost movies where the guy later on he goes, all right, it's my freaking fault. I did it. I caused it. I'm the reason why it happened. It's all my fault. I'm such a son of a... It's funny. It's like, because that's the same thing in reality. People never want to admit it until their back is against the wall. And they're like, all right, the jig is up. I was the reason why this all happened. I asked for it. I've been acting like a coward. It's all my fault. I started. I did it. It's all me. It's on me. And the spirit's like, glad you admit it. Now you can get the hell out of here that you admitted your guilt, you son of a bitch. And I'm out of here. Gone.
Yeah. Now, let's go over a little bit about the seances that you've had there. Of course, there's been EVPs recorded down there. One of the most memorable ones that I remember is the Hello Mija.
Let It Go Mija. Yeah, Let It Go Mija, right.
Oh,
God. Yeah. That was a great story, great investigation and a great seance. That was one of the few seances where I had my two friends who were both psychics running the seance, and that was tough because generally, just like in any profession, when you have a A-list star or an A-list professional, they don't generally like to share the room or the venue with another A-list, professional in the same vein. But on that night, I had Lilia Caron Willis and I had Al McCary, two friends of mine that are both gifted psychics that were there, one at one end of the table and the other at the other end of the table. And I'm sitting in the middle. And I generally don't like to hang around for seances because I feel that the spirits would much prefer to engage with the company and the guests, without me being in the room. And what I mean is, I almost feel like, they don't want to go all out and make things happen when I'm in the room because they know in a sense that I have to deal with the aftermath when everybody else is left. And I have to wrap my fingers around what I just experienced firsthand with no one around to talk to about it but them. So the spirit's like, no, David, we don't want to do things around you. So if you're not here, it's okay for the seance. So I was in the seance at the time, and we had 3 digital recorders on the seance table recording, and we had the closed-circuit television cameras, and we had somebody there with a video camera videoing the seance. And I remember in the beginning of the evening of the seance, Lilia said, there's somebody here whose father's passed away, and they're having a tough time letting go of his memory, and they're stuck. And I don't remember if the girl mentioned it at that point or later on that was her. But later on in the evening, during the seance, I swear to God, I heard a man's voice, and I said, stop the seance. And almost in unison, Lilia and Alma said, what are you talking about? We're not stopping this seance. And I was like, no, we're stopping the seance because I just heard something. And I don't want to wait to go through an hour's worth of audio tape to get to the spot to find out where it was. I said, no. I said, we're stopping the seance now. And it was almost like I was compelled to make sure that was the case. And we stopped the seance. I said, get the first digital recorder on the table. Pick it up and play it now, please. So they rewound it 30 seconds. And 20 seconds in, you hear this man's voice whisper into the microphone saying, let it go, mija, with a nice little accent to it. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, grab the other recorder, play the second recorder, same thing. Play the third recorder, same exact thing. And I think Mabel Jordan and Pal Avery were here, and they were videotaping it, and they said they heard it on their recording, and the video recorded it as well. And it was uncanny. And then the girl burst into tears and said, this girl at the end of the table, 2 seats from me, said, that's my dad. Oh, my God, that's my dad. And I was like, what did you say earlier in the evening, Lily, about somebody's father? And she goes, yeah, he died 4 years ago of cancer. I've not been able to go on with my life ever since he passed away. And I was like shocked. And she said to me, I'll never forget, she said that it really had a dramatic effect upon her and allowing her to go on with her life.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we got people listening to the show that not everybody's in the chat, so I can't, for anybody that is listening to the chat, if you got a question for David, feel free, or would like an on-air mention, feel free to pop in the chat on Spreaker. That's where I'm at. All the other feeds like iHeartRadio and YouTube, I cannot see those right now because I do not have those loaded up. But if you want to ask a question of David, feel free to call in. Once again, the call-in number is by Skype at Talking the Night or by phone at 817-717-5561. But since this person mentioned it on Facebook, Mike
Fontaine?
Yeah.
Mike Fontaine, yes.
Mike Troa. Yeah.
Mike Troiano, yes.
Yeah. So I'll give him a shout out real quick since he was like feeling down because I mentioned Nicole.
Right. No, Mike's been here a couple of times and had some great experiences here with the activity on the paranormal tours we had last year. Triano, that's what it is.
Yeah. All right. So there's another question before the break. Has anything ever happened to you or not? As far as, and I can bring up one.
Wait a second, Phil. It happened to me in what way? I mean, well, I've never been harmed by the spirits. No.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen spirits here. I've had the faucets in my house turn on by themselves on 3 different occasions in 3 different parts, 3 different floors of the house to 3 different people. I've been startled. When I say startled, it's not like, see, to be terrified of something is like riding on the razor's edge. You can only do it for a short amount of time because after a while, what happens is you get split in 2 by the razor. You can't ride it that long and not lose your mind. So, yes, I mean, I've had my incidents where it's like, okay, I don't know what the hell that was. That startled me. It gave me a bit of a pause for a thought, like, what the hell was that? It made me go up. It made me, in one instance, I went and had a couple of shots of whiskey at around 2 in the morning after I had an incident here. Fiona, get out of the kitchen. Sorry about that. Yeah. Stop being a hound. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, it doesn't, how should I say, it does not permeate my senses for permanent. Meaning, the incident takes place, it's like, okay, I'm like, okay, I'm a little stressed. Like, all right, that's hard to get. I was like, all right, and I'll come down from it. It's like your excitement, and then you're back down to normal. Why? Because there's no sense in riding it on the edge of the razor blade for that long, because the incident was this quick and it's done and it's over. How long the memory continues to roll over in my head could destroy any human being if you dealt with this, an accident or PTSD. Fiona, get out of there. Yeah. It's the same thing. It could crush you and mentally destroy you. But, I just go on with it. It's like, okay, I saw that. All right, cool. There's nothing you can do about it. So to be afraid of it in a permanent sense is pointless, fruitless, and, detrimental to one's health. So, no, I don't you're on. It's like, oh, well, it's like, all right, fine. I start to laugh at that because there's nothing you can do about it. And being afraid about something that happened 20 minutes ago, an hour ago, or 2 hours ago from the spirit is just like, well, all right, it's over. It's done. Next. And they're not, the part of the trick is not trying to hurt you. It's trying to get your attention and communicate something with you.
Yeah, we're going to get into the communication with the spirits shortly after we come back. So we're going to take the last commercial break of the night. We'll be right back with my guest, David Oman, as we talk about his highly haunted house in Beverly Hills and the ghost investigations.
Nobody knows what's in your soul and how your heart works. Nobody knows, nobody cares. It's time for you to live your life. Yeah. You can do it right now. Oh, you can do it right now.
Hey, Double X, you watch
You
this
can do it
tonight.
right now. Yeah. You can do it right now.
Yeah, no shit. I gotta take the dogs out to take the shit. That's why I was cooking on the grill for the dogs. They're pet lovers. Thank God that's done. So now Facebook. So I have to set up the links.
When you go to findingmargaret.com and mention Talk in the Night, you can purchase a signed copy of the book,
Take you outside.
Finding Margaret, for
Ready,
just
come on, outside,
$10.
quick.
Go to findingmargaret.com and send an email saying you heard about the book on Talk in the Night and get your
Ready, come on.
copy today.
Outside. Reggie, come on, quick. I gotta get you outside for the floor before we get you back on the radio. iHeartRadio. Love it.
Just for Talk in the Night listeners,
How many
go
more
to
minutes?
joyelaine.com and get a free signed copy of Book 1, Path of Sweetness. To get to Joy's website, just click on the banner ad on the Talk in the Night website.
I have enough ass blowing in this house to kill a 50 dogs. Come here, Reg, quick.
To purchase a signed copy of the CD Red Omen at 10% off, mention Talk in the Night. With this purchase, you will get a free download of the Red Omen album and one of any other of Red's album downloads, plus a special link to watch the new Red Omen video for a limited time. It's not available anywhere. Email Michael at mtsmanagementgroup.com to take advantage of this deal.
Ask you what you're thinking about. Ask you what you're dreaming about. Say your life is full of doubts. You don't know what you're talking about. You tell me what's on your mind, but how can you be so blind? I am the one who's hurting, but I'm just a burden in the chaos.
To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night, or by phone at 817-717-5561. And now, back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. Okay, and we are back. Of course, David had to step outside. He had to take his dogs out to use the bathroom so they don't pee on his floor. And great dogs, by the way. So if you ever get to visit his house, especially this Saturday, if you want to go to his ghost investigation out in Beverly Hills, and people are flown all the way from England and Australia to come to David's house, so don't use the distances as an excuse. Get a plane ticket if you want to visit David's house. But yeah, it's definitely worth the chance to visit David's house. The spirits there, and you can see the two Ridgebacks that he has. Great dogs.
The dogs are always put away. I don't have them out and look around. Never.
Well, near the end of the night.
I'm trying to see the living. I can't even visit the dead.
But yeah, no, they're great dogs. But Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So we're back in everything like that. So let's real quick talk about the tour that ghost investigation that you have coming up this weekend. Now you mentioned something about haunted objects, but something to trigger.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Adam Tunney, who for some people who don't know, his great uncle happens to have been Gene Tunney, the heavyweight champion of the world. He beat Jack Dempsey in 1927, I do believe. What Adam had done was he had brought over Gene Harlow's drapes that he had gotten. I don't know how he managed to get them, but he had Gene Harlow's draperies and brought them here. And stuff happened. He then brought over Thelma Todd, who is the famous woman who was murdered by the mafia back in 1933 on PCH, and right above her famous speakeasy that she had. He brought in her personal ledger from her business. And it was about 2 inches thick, and it was all handwritten in pencil in her hand. And we had some great, interesting activity occur from that. And so Adam suggested, he says, why don't you invite people to bring along their own possessed or haunted objects with them to Saturday night? It's like, oh, wow. Because you've never done that before. It's like, never before. He goes, that's a great idea. I think you should try that. So I ended up giving it a shot. And that's what we're going to be doing this Saturday night. It's going to be the haunted and possessed objects so that people can bring them into the house and see if we can get a trigger effect in the activity tied into those objects.
The activity and the high levels of the geomagnetic field, I'm sure something's going to be happening.
Oh, I have a pretty good, strong feeling stuff's going to happen here as well. I look forward to it, honestly.
Yeah. Now, of course, we're going to take a step outside the house in this next little segment. Of course, I was always out there kind of monitoring the cameras.
Yes, you were.
And I'm getting a lot of feedback there. Yeah, I'm just getting feedback on my end, so.
All right, go on.
So I was out there, and there was another person out there that was in a wheelchair, and we noticed this fog roll in, and there was no fog anywhere else. It was just near the gate, and it rolled in, stopped, and rolled right back out.
I remember that night.
But
I don't know what to say to you, Phil. I remember that night very well, and I said, what's going on? I said, the fog. The fog rolled in, and then it rolled. I said, what do you mean it rolled in? They no, it almost looked like a movie set. It's like, wait, well, the fog came down the driveway, and it stopped, and it's just backed up towards the gate.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I couldn't explain that.
No, neither did I.
No, there's been other times that told me to look down at the end of the drive, and I see this one lady, which I believe was Sharon. She was walking from the gate, and she got to this car that was like 2 houses down, and just disappeared.
Yeah.
And other people have seen that. I'm not the only one that has seen that.
You are not the only one, Phil. No. Others have.
Let's see. Trying to think of what else. Oh, one on your videos, which is on your YouTube channel. For those that might have tuned in late, youtube.com/David Oben. There is, yeah. There is a video that faces outside of the doorway out into the street, and you see this shadow take a step off of the porch and across the drive and then fade into nothing.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. And I said to people, I said, there's a funny thing about that object. I said, it actually hugs the stairway going down. Each step, it rolls down across the front of the step, and then across the landing, and then across the bottom of the next step. It was an amazing video. I still can't believe it. But then it was happening. I wasn't like planning on looking. I remember at the moment I was doing it, there was some car that was in front of the house, and I was watching the cameras and seeing who it was, and then all of a sudden I stumbled upon this black fog walking from the house down the steps, going out into the street. It was like, what the hell was that? And that's how a lot of my videos are captured. I'm not actively viewing and reviewing footage every single day.
Yeah, because those cameras are running 24/7.
Right. But I'm not honestly I'm not really a paranormal investigator. I live in a haunted house, but to be honest with you, I suffered from burnout syndrome. Meaning, once I got the cameras installed 4.5 years ago, the first 3 months I got basically no sleep, because every night at 2 a.m, I would spend from 2 to 6 a.m. reviewing every single camera as best as I could to look for paranormal activity. And after a while, I just became so burnt on it. I said, you know something? I haven't got the patience. I haven't got the energy. I haven't got the desire to ferret through all of this footage day in and day out. It's mind-boggling the amount of footage you have to go through in a day on 16. Now I've got 20 cameras in the house. And I was like, no, I can't deal with this. And I furthermore don't want to. If I stumble across something, great. If something happens and I have to review and find out what took place, great. If I find some evidence of something that took place, terrific. But outside of that, actively pursuing and ghost hunting the home that you live in, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
And that's a lot of that's people don't see when they watch these ghost shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, stuff like that. They don't see the hard work and the long hours that is put into it of reviewing long tapes, long recordings on EVPs, and they only show an hour of what a typical investigation goes through, which is 6 to 8 hours.
Right. It's all condensed and made. It's all refined, polished, spit shined, whatever you want to call it, and produced for television. The problem that a lot of people don't understand is to get one bit of evidence, you might spend 3 days investigating a location. And I am not one that's an advocate for the Spirit Box or the Frank's Box or whatever you want to call it, the Ovilus. I just find them complete waste of time and energy. They're shortcuts to getting you nothing, in essence, as I like to look at it as, because it's not ever going to be an organic spirit's voice. It's always going to be a radio frequency transmission that's basically intercepted by the scanner. And why would I want something like that any credible skeptic is going to shred evidence-wise? Where I've got evidence here where the EVPs are captured raw. They're not manipulated. They're not processed through an equalizer, and we're not dropping the lows and playing with the highs. Most of the EVPs I've captured that I put on my YouTube channel are raw. The only thing I might do in some cases is play the raw audio, and then I might turn the master volume up, and that's it. I don't play with filters and this. I just raise the volume, master volume, to basically make it louder so the audience can hear what's being recorded. Other than that, that's the way I like to keep it, down and dirty and simple. And that way, a skeptic can sit there and see what they want. And I said, okay, here's the room, here's the recording, there's the camera. You show me how it was done. And there's not a lot of leeway when you just say, there's the camera, there's the room, this is the recording. You review it all you want. But there's not a third-party intermediary device that's playing the speaker or the vocal box of the spirit. And I don't mean to say that spirits have vocal cords and vocal boxes. I'm saying that recording is a electronic voice phenomena. It's electronic in the sense that it's being recorded on one of our video cameras or closed circuit cameras, but it is definitely that individual's voice. It's not like a bit of a commercial from a radio signal that's being clipped out and giving you a bit of information, as they say is the case with the Frank's box or the Ovilus or the Spirit box, whatever.
Yeah. Now, I want to quickly talk about this because we only got 15 minutes left in the show. But I want to mention about, I'll mention about that, David. I promise. I want to mention about the house next door.
Nothing about it.
About the night that I stayed there, and when we actually did the tours, the guest investigations there, where a woman was actually literally held down to the ground, and three guys, and I'm a big guy, but these guys were bigger than me, and this lady was short and petite, and they could not actually lift her off the ground. It wasn't until I went down there that they were actually able to lift her up.
She was pinned down to the floor and also on the bed. She could not get up from the bed. And they literally, three guys had to lift her up and they couldn't. And that's as much as I can say about it because now the place is no longer available.
Yeah.
And, you know the routine. It's what it is and who's there and I don't, But yeah, it was pretty intense. It was a pretty intense night that night with the activity in the house there.
Yeah, but that house was dark compared to your house.
The murders, yes.
And it was also there on the nights of the murders, where your house wasn't there.
Yeah, my house wasn't here, but that house is where Winifred Chapman ran to after she discovered the bodies. That was Sharon Tate's housekeeper, who discovered her bodies at 7:30 in the morning on the morning of August 9th. And she ran to the first house next door to Sharon's, and the woman refused to answer the door. So then Winifred ran to the house next door to mine, which is the second closest house on the driveway, and she actually spoke to the homeowner's son and stayed in that house until the police came and interviewed her.
Yeah. And of course, that's the house that me and Lilia and Lilia's daughter stayed in overnight. Now, a lot of people had reactions to going into that house that night. One came out physically feeling ill. Well, not just one, but a few people came out feeling physically ill. And of course, I helped that one lady kind of bring her back to normal, if you will. But the point I'm getting about that house is the one thing that I'll never forget is the front door opening on its own. People were sitting in the living room of that house, away from the door, doing like a seance or talking. And there was a lady that was the one that I kind of helped after she had felt physically ill, but she was walking back towards the house. Now there's a gate, I want to say
the gate
3 or 4 feet away.
10 feet away.
10 feet away.
About 10 feet away is the entrance of to the door. So, yeah, I saw that. And you can look at the footage and you can notice that the girl's walking by the gate. She's 10 feet away and the door opens on its own.
Yeah, and of course, I was outside. I was looking down that direction, so I know she never went in there to push it and try and run out real quick.
Exactly. She never touched it, and that's what the video shows. It just shows the gate and the door opening on its own, and the door is about a good 100-pound door. It's a solid wood door with thick glass in the center.
Yeah.
And I was, like, shocked. You said the door opened. I said, let's watch the footage. And you can see the door on its own just... And I'm like, no, that door doesn't open that easily. How did that happen? You have to push it to open it. It's that heavy of a door. So yeah, I remember that very well. Strange as all hell.
I believe if I'm not mistaken, I believe the door was fully shut, but it might not have been. But still, it would have took some pressure to actually push it open like it was.
Exactly. And there was no breeze or anything running through the house or anything like that. And even if there had been, it wasn't a wind of enough strength and force to be able to open the door. And it was semi-ajar. But like I said, to move the door, you have to push it pretty steadily to make it open.
Yeah, and there was no wind blowing that night. None whatsoever.
No wind at all. It was calm.
So let's tell people where they can get tickets for this Saturday's ghost tour if they want, or ghost investigation if they want to come along. Once again, I've said people from other countries have come over to David's house. So don't use the distance as an excuse. If you got the money and the time, hop on a plane.
Well, thanks, Phil. If you want, the ghost hunt is Saturday, the 13th of October, from 8 o'clock in the evening to 3 in the morning. As Phil said, it's a special night. It's a bring your haunted item or haunted object night. If you're interested, we have a few tickets available. You can go to The Oman, O-M-A-A-N, that's O-M-A-N house.com. It's $99, and unlike every other ghost investigation I've ever been on, food is included. Drinks are included throughout the entire night. Once you arrive, it's like Club Med. You don't touch your wallet. There's nothing to pay for. Your parking is free. The shuttle bus ride is free up to the house. The next 7 hours is covered, paid for. Your food is included. Your drink is included. We have salsa, guacamole, chips, hummus, pita bread, vegetable platter, fruit platter, beef taquitos, cookies of all different sorts. Then we have sodas and cranberry juice and bottled water. And then, of course, we have a seance with our psychic Alma Carey. And we also have you'll be able to interact with Alma and have a personal one-on-one discussion and reading about your haunted object. Let's see, we also have the equipment. We have the REM pod. We have a thermal imaging camera. We have an SLS kinetic camera. We have 20 CCTV cameras throughout the entire house. So if you don't have a camera or you miss something with your camera, all I tell people is take a notepad and a pencil and your watch. So when you're in the room in the house and something happens and you feel something, you see something, you hear something, I say to them, write down the time, pretty close to the exact minute, and write down what room, where you were in the room, and what happened. And then at the end of the night or whenever you want, if you want to go right up to us in the middle of the investigation, say, David, I want to review this footage. We can go into the office and pull up that camera and the time code and review it with the audio and see what's happening. Whether the lights are on or off, it doesn't matter. Our cameras are all infrared, manageable, so that in plain, pure darkness, these cameras can capture what you can't see and hear.
Oh, yeah.
What the?
And
Ready? Did you hear that, Phil? What was that?
well, I wanted to bring up something because I saw something before I started to ask you about the ghost investigation. I actually saw something walk from your patio door towards the stairs and down, and then the cat followed it. And that was about 11:49 my time, so
8:49 my time. No, 9:49 my time. Well, I don't know what the hell that was, Phil, but I mean, my back's towards that, but I'm like, the cat is chasing something, because I've never seen her do that. And she is tearing up and down the stairs, chasing something that's not there.
Like I saw this figure walk from your patio door towards the stairs, and then shortly after that, the cat followed it from kind of not where the door opens, but close to the stairs.
But as you're saying this, my dog, Reggie, is going to the top of the stairs, looking down and growling and barking at something right now.
Yeah.
So he sees something. So something is there, and I have a feeling your voice and the fact that we're talking right now, and the spirits know you like the back of their hand. They remember you very well. I think you're actually acting as a trigger yourself to bringing up some spirits. They're like, hey, it's Phil. I hear him, but where the hell is he? They're looking for you, Phil.
I can already hear Gwendolyn saying, come back, come back.
Well, there's something to be said about that, Phil. Apparently, there's, like I said, it's a familiar voice from their past, and like going, hey, Phil's here. Philly's here. Oh, shit. So,
yeah. All right.
I think they're happy to hear your voice.
Yeah. All right. Well, let them know I'll be there sometime next year when I get a chance.
He'll be here sometime next year, Spirits, as if you didn't hear it. And but he's still standing at the top of the stairs, looking straight down. He hasn't said a word. He's staring at it with this intensity. I've never seen him so hell-bent on something that he's focused on.
Yeah. And for those listening to the show, of course, there's no video of this except for what David's captured in his house. But me and David are on a video Skype call, but the radio show is audio only. But like I mentioned, I saw something right behind David's left shoulder, and it went down the stairs, and shortly after, the cat followed it down.
Well, but Phil, obviously, we're both idiots. We have cameras that cover that exact area.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at that close to the CCTV camera and see if I can find that. You said it was an hour and 10 minutes ago, right?
No, it was at like
10 minutes ago. So 10 minutes to midnight, your time. Yeah. Oh,
8:49.
That footage.
8:49 your time.
Would have been 9:49 because right now it's 10 o'clock my time. I'm 2 hours.
2 hours.
It
would be 9:48, 9:49.
I will definitely look at that camera and hope to God we capture something. Because like I said, I'm facing the opposite direction. My back is towards that area, but the camera is facing right over my shoulder. So if you saw it on the camera, then the other camera right there would have captured it as well.
Yeah, and I only got a small screen for the Skype, so I was able to see it just with that little bit.
I got to look for that.
But I want to thank you again for coming on the show and talking with the listeners. And if you want tickets to David's event this Saturday, go to theomenhouse.com and purchase the tickets. This is an event you do not want to miss. And for those listening, tomorrow night we're going to be joined by my guest, Ed Roman, as we talk about Bigfoot and UFOs. So until tomorrow night, I want to thank my guest again, David Oman, for coming on the show. And check out his YouTube channel, youtube.com/David Oman. And keep checking back because there might have been something that we caught tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So, till tomorrow night, I shall see you on the dark side. Good night from Talking the Night.
Thanks, Phil. I got to look at that footage. Now he got me spooked because I was like, behind my shoulder, the bitch walked down. She didn't walk this way. She walked away from me. Thanks a lot. You could have come right on the camera and said hello, for God's sake. It would have been a moment. Shit. It went that way and down. Did you get it? Could you see anything? It was like, did you see anything? It was a female spirit? All right, here's what's strange. I got to pan the camera over, but Sam is staring exactly where you're talking. Oh, well, I now know why. I had to get up to see. Tommy's standing on the first step. Sam is standing on the guy's front over here at the landing, and they're staring at each other from 20 feet.